Yeah. Hey, card things. I heard these things are good.
Tell us about cards. Yeah, this is a card podcast. We card very hard.
So the most important thing about cards is learning how to flick them.
I've never learned that actually.
And it's important that it makes the right sound. Yeah.
Oh, you mean flicking them in your hand? I thought you meant like flipping them like across the table or something.
Chaos
no,
orbs,
dude. No, this is not old school, dude. Like,
I heard Andrea missed his chaos orb flip on stream.
Oh man, yeah, he was so bad.
Oh, shame has been brought to 7 generations of his family.
I love you, bud, but that was hard to watch.
100 years from now, his ancestors will talk about it.
Remember that flip? Kai, do you know what it was targeting?
Well, I don't know the card he was targeting, but I was literally commentating that match with Andreas Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Did you do the thing when he missed it?
He did. Yeah, I mean, there were like a bunch of noises. I just couldn't tell what that was. It could have been Italian, could have been Japanese, couldn't really tell. Yeah.
Okay, and with that, hello and welcome to Everyday Channel number 126, your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. Today's show is brought to you, well, by basically everyone in the world. That's what I just made up here. If you want to join everyone in the world and support the running of the show directly, you can support us on patreon.com/everydaychannel. Guys, I have never missed a Chaos Orb flip, but I think I've also not done it properly, because I guess from what I see on stream, they like let it fall on their index finger and then it's forced to basically turn around.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I've never done one like with a proper Chaos Orb, but then when I watched that, I got like a couple of cards on my desk and tried to do it. It's a lot harder than it looks, so I'm not going to make fun of him too much. It looks pretty hard.
It's actually something in the rules that you are not allowed to intervene by like blowing on the card or something.
I don't know what the rules are, because I think they played like a Swedish rules of old school as well. So like,
well, those are the prison rules.
Right, exactly. So like, I mean, before the tournament, it was crazy to watch, because like most people were like practicing the flips, you know, like in any other tournament, people kind of like double check the deck list or like, you know, talk to people, I don't know, sleeve up some cards, and those old school players are literally just flipping random cards on the table, and it's like, what the hell are you doing?
I love that picture.
What
You're like
the
looking
hell
around
are you doing? Yeah.
the hall, and there's just like all these like young kids, you know, writing out a deck list, talking about cyborg guys, what do I do here, blah blah, and then you just have a bunch of older ones like in the corner just flipping cards. It's a great
in
picture.
That way, I guess old school is the most athletic of all the Magic formats.
Absolutely.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Yep, without a shadow of a doubt in my mind.
One day I want to see the Sumas come into old school and completely annihilate it. Like, I really want to see what the Sumas would do in old school.
By flipping Chaos Orbs?
No, just like figuring out the format. I mean, it's from the outside, it always feels like it's figured out-ish, even though people tell me, oh no, there's innovation. There's more innovation. I'm like, I don't know about that. But before we go into that, maybe we should bring our listeners up to speed about what we're talking about. We're talking about Tier1Con in Malmö in Sweden that happened, I think, the other weekend. Pretty big, not only legacy, but card gaming event as a whole. I think they've been around for quite a while, and I think this year is actually the first year I've heard about them. And Kai, you went there, right? But before we go into that, why don't you bring us like up to speed about what's going on in your life? I think you have a big anniversary coming up, right?
I played a little bit of Lone Parks earlier this day on stream because my Discord told me to do so. And I just want to stretch how busted Witherbloom command is, because it literally won me 2 games. Like one versus Doomsday, where it milled my opponent because for some reason it has like the mill option, and you can also target your opponent, which I think is pretty crazy. And the other one, I drained my Lance opponent because he wasn't 2 life. Anyway, I'm just gonna say, like, I'm super happy to be on stream again. I haven't streamed a lot lately because I was like, it's like so much stuff going on in Berlin. I thought that I have more time to stream, but like, you know. Like other project, I just finished another painting, a couple of alterations. Also, I have to cook more in Berlin because like the food outside is pretty much garbage. So that also takes a lot of time. You know, it's kind of interesting. But I hopefully get to stream a little more. And also, I think this month is my 1-year anniversary in terms of like streaming. So I'm gonna like celebrate it in.
Ooh.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's probably gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen next week. I'm super pumped and excited, and there will be probably a lot of sake and champagne during.
I can't believe it's been a year already. It felt like you've been streaming for I don't know.
I know, it's crazy, right?
We should force you to play drunk D&T.
I will. If you tell, like, if everyone wants me to wants to watch that, I'm here for it. Really, literally anything.
Or like get you really drunk and do speed running oops or spells or something.
I mean, Callum, just give me the just give me that mono red painter deck already. Just.
Oh,
you know what you should do? You should stream Shandalar. Have you ever heard about Shandalar?
No, is that a commander deck?
It's like the OG Magic game.
Yeah, there's a single player Magic game where you literally walk around in the world and you fight other planeswalkers, and it plays by the pre-6th edition rules. It's like all over the place, and sometimes you will walk into people and they will kill you on the first turn. It's one of the coolest experiences, and I think people should stream it more, even though it's fundamentally broken.
Yeah, that's I can do that. Yeah.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. There should be a way to get it to run on your system.
We're gonna figure it out. Yeah.
Cool. Callum, how's your life?
It's good.
We heard that Mr. Bozo has actually stepped down, right? Just today.
Yes, it's brilliant. It's a glorious day today at work. In the morning, we were just watching the news, not doing anything. Yeah, that's the most exciting thing for me, to see what our mess of a government is going to do next. It's just absolute shambles. But otherwise, I'm back to my normal routine after settling back in, playing Legacy on Tuesdays, bit of Toy Soldiers, aka Warhammer, the rest of the week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, just being a nerd. That's me.
Awesome.
How about you?
Any chance you will run for government anytime soon?
Well, I'm already knighted by the Queen, right? So I can just get in when I want to.
Oh, I think we talked about that. I told you, I must have missed that.
I can't believe you forgot. You're like, you missed the announcement?
Why exactly did you get knighted?
I'm not allowed to talk about that. AKA, I couldn't think of an answer.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that on the Discord, but I don't remember. Yeah, but there has been a knighthood for you, and we'll eventually figure out where it's going. Can foreigners get knighthood in the UK?
If you try really hard.
Is that what it says in the Constitution? Oh, I forgot you guys don't have a Constitution.
Word for word. I wrote it myself. Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Did you know that David Beckham, apparently his life goal is to get a knighthood, and the Queen has only offered him something that's a step below, I don't know, officer of the Empire, whatever. And apparently he's really pissed. And the reason they never offered a knighthood is because there's lots of tax cheating going on his side. So they were like, you know what, if that's what you do, no knighthood for you, Mr. Beckham.
Didn't know that. I guess he's been doing lots for charity, but I don't know.
Yeah. it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, speaking of another kingdom, Sweden, Kai.
That's quite a segue.
Man, those transitions, holy moly.
Yeah. How was Sweden for you? How did you? Was it your first time in Sweden?
Yes, it was my absolute first time in Sweden. It's a beautiful country. Literally, everyone on the street looks either like an angel or like a Viking. It's crazy, really. A lot of other tall people. Everyone's blonde. Beautiful. So
he's been to the very, very southern tip of Sweden. It's oh, beautiful country. I've seen it all. Everybody looks the same. What?
Yeah, Malmö is just like the tip of the iceberg. I want to say it's the very bottom part. But hey, the event itself was pretty cool. A pretty big venue. Almost like GP size. I want to say. Looks like they didn't get the full capacity of players because I don't know what happened, but they had way too many tables and chairs ready for so many people, but the attendance was not as high as expected. I don't really know why that is. Maybe because of summer. Maybe. I
mean, they didn't advertise on the Everyday Channel podcast. They already sent.
They didn't, right? That's a big mistake. Yeah.
It was it got through to our channels a bit, but it wasn't. I don't know, advertised as widely as some other things. Maybe utilize Twitter a bit more and stuff. I'm not sure. Yeah,
maybe so.
Hopefully, I mean, the thing is, so as we said, I think this was the first time they did Magic. At least, I'm sure. I don't know if the actual events happened multiple times before. I'm not actually sure. I could be wrong here, but yeah, maybe this is the first time. I wasn't able to make it because I had too many other things going on. But I heard mostly positive things about it, so I'm going to try very hard to go next time. So it's one of these things where attendance will grow, hopefully, as long as they keep doing it.
Right, absolutely. And for me, it doesn't really matter how many people attend. It's more important that I don't want to say that the right people attend, but I met so many incredible people. Not only people like Andreas Petersen or Andrea Mengucci, like people who did the coverage. And I was even part of the coverage team for a day. It was on Friday. But also a lot of just everyday Eternal listeners. I met Grizzlebrand tier supporter Victor Bernards
Nice.
at the Legacy tournament for the first time. Like getting like so much good feedback from like so many people. It's really like, it really tells something, Yeah, there's like a lot of people who really enjoy the goofy shit we're talking about. And
Yeah. What did it for me when I was looking through I saw a picture of the final standings and I was like, I recognize that name and that name and that name. So I wouldn't care how I did. I wouldn't even care about like playing that much. Again, the numbers, as you say, I just want to meet all these people and just
I had the
go
exact
for
same
dinner after and
experience.
have drinks and stuff.
I had the exact same experience when I looked at the top 16, and like out of the top 16 there were like 10 or 12 people I used to hang out with at events and I haven't seen in quite a while. I was like, this is like a family gathering in that top 16. What's going on there?
Yeah, legacy family gathering.
Yeah, I could literally, I think at least half of the top 16 I've traveled to events with and like stayed together and everything. So yeah, that was really, really cool. Also, like a pretty big showing from the North German Legacy crowd. I saw a lot of players from there whom I recognized.
This is another reason for me to move to Europe so I can go to more events over there, like drive around. It's so nice.
Yeah,
Right.
you gotta do your own Brexit. You're
Yeah.
gonna do your entrance or something. That's not as marketable.
Callum Brexit, something. I don't know.
Calexit. You go to Calais,
Oh,
so
no.
it's like Calexit or something. I don't know.
Oh, can I quit the podcast halfway through recording?
and we gotta cut this part, of course. No.
As we do, sure. So Kai, you already mentioned you enjoyed the event, right? Before we go into your event, I think I think the only real criticism I've seen about the event was that the Legacy main event was a 5K, was held as a rules enforcement level regular as opposed to competitive. And I think one of the biggest differences with regards to that is on regular, you're not required to have decklists, and there's also like...
Exactly. I think that was like the huge blowout problem. Because like most people probably assumed at this point that if you attend an event with at least 60 players or even more, like 100 or whatever, you're supposed to have a decklist ready, because that's how we've been doing it for so many years at GPs and whatnot. And on Friday, I got the information that only the modern main event was a competitive REL tournament with more than 200 players, and literally anything else. So be it the Legacy main event, old school, any side event, they were all regular REL, which means like no decklists are required, and also there are less game losses and things like that. So just like for example, a little story from a buddy Martin Nielsen, who had a pretty short trip, because he lives in Denmark. I think
Right across the bridge.
Yeah, right across the bridge. So like he, for example, he played Doomsday, and in game 1, now in game 2, his Ponders got surgically extracted. And in game 3, he forgot to shuffle in those Ponders back in his deck. And he realized after he resolved a Doomsday in game 3, right? And he's like literally like finishing the pile. And then right after that, he went like, oh, I guess I played a 56 card deck for the whole time. And like, because the Ponders are still in exile, his opponent also realized that. They called the judge, and the judge casually went like, yeah, you know what? I'll just put them in exile, with the other cards, just don't even worry about it, right? And which is fine, but I think it kind of took the competitive aspect of the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more in line with what you would do like at Friday Night Magic, right? That's the whole spirit behind it. It's just like, oh, don't worry, it's gonna be okay. Which is like not compatible with, I want to say, the prices, and as well as like the mindset of the players you would expect to attend this tournament. Like when you have people flying from Italy, from France or whatever to Sweden for a Legacy event, they do it for competitive reasons. And I think we don't need to be like the crazy strictest guys. Like there's even rules enforcement level professional above that, but I think competitive would have very much been in order.
I think
so,
there was
yeah.
a little bit of misunderstanding of the TOs and what the players wanted. This is just based on the people chatter I've read about and stuff. I think the idea was Legacy might be more of a casual format, and they're just coming to have fun and play some old cards and stuff, which it probably applies more to like old school or those kind of older nostalgia formats. Not to say that can't be competitive as well. Of course it can, but I think that was maybe the expectations when really it's not actually accurate. And I think that feedback has been passed back to them. So I'd be pretty surprised if it was run at regular REL again. But yeah, that was definitely the worst thing I heard about it. But I didn't hear any nightmare stories. Like some things like that happened with Martin and stuff. It'd be pretty funny if it was a Thassa's Oracle that got exiled, and then game 3 he's like, "Shit, where is it?"
just put it in the pile, you know. Just don't even worry about it.
I'm gonna grant you a free living wish. It's okay.
Let's just say it was in your hand. It's fine. But
Judge Callum, that's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I think that feedback's been passed on a lot, and otherwise, like I was quite relieved to hear that. Like I talked to some people, and they said they didn't hear any stories of like people cheating. Like it's the kind of thing where you could have 4 ley lines in your sideboard, and then as you get to the top tables, you're like, okay, all the graveyard decks are not here, so then you just swap them for something else. Like that could happen, but yeah.
But literally, that thing happened at one of our local events. That was over 10 years ago. GP trial for GP Madrid 2010. There was a guy playing Dredge, and he had no ley lines in the sideboard. And in the semi-finals of the GP trial in Nuremberg and Munich, he was playing the mirror. So he went to the bathroom, added 4 ley lines to his deck, then won the semi-finals. And I think they split the finals because both players in the finals got like 3 buys, as you used to get at the GP trial. I still can't believe the audacity of somebody doing that. Like literally, this is a decklist event. This is like everybody is watching this match. And the guy goes to the bathroom. And I only learned about this from his friend who told me about this. Actually, the guy whom he faced in the finals. Later, like way later when the guy stopped, I heard some really fucked up stories about mental, absolutely mental.
I mean, like, so what's the takeaway from the story then? So people are not allowed to go to the bathroom, right? That's a takeaway.
Exactly. It's something REL shouldn't have prizes bigger than something. I don't know. Or like, yeah.
I think you're really not doing much wrong when you just like set it as competitive and
it's perfect for like your F&Ms or your Saturday winner boxes or something. Like I've seen some winner boxes be run at like too high a level, and then new players get met with game losses because they just didn't know what they're doing, and that's really harsh and will just put people off. But 5K just has to be competitive.
I think that's the spirit behind it, right? When you want to be a little more lax, so you don't turn away people who might be starting out.
Yeah.
But people flying across Europe for a tournament are usually not the ones who are like playing the first Legacy event.
Absolutely.
And they usually don't play Legacy in the first place, I guess.
Yeah.
That's another story. But yeah, also there were some reports, I think I want to add that on, that there were like significant delays, at least in the first couple of days.
Exactly. So
do you know why that happened?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why they happened, but like for example, they printed out the pairings, and apparently something was like terribly wrong, and they had to like do it again, and it just took a while. And well, that kind of backfired later because I think it was like 8 p.m. or so when the Swiss rounds were over, and the modern coverage was also like just finished. And I was like, dude, I mean, I didn't make top 8 at this event. I finished like 22nd or something. I was like, hey, dudes, I can do the coverage for the top 8 of Legacy. How does that sound? Since I already did the coverage on Friday for the old school tournament, I felt like, okay, well, I'll be kind of cool, no? And the team was like, they kind of said that's a good idea, but they had to like make sure to basically clean up the hole until 11 p.m. And they literally don't have any time left. And it's like, man, if we started the tournament like an hour or two earlier, we could have like maybe had like a like a top 8 Twitch coverage or something like that. Which is is
that why the top 4 split, because they had no more time left to play?
Exactly. And they played out the finals in the hotel bar.
Oh, that's some old school PTQ vibes.
Yeah, I did want to add that they did play it out, so the standings we see is real, but they split the prizes. I'm glad they played out for the glory. I like that.
Yeah, like I mean, I was sipping beer, dude. I was already super drunk when they played the finals at the hotel bar. But yeah,
but I mean, obviously that's not ideal. On the other hand, I really, I love the grassroots vibe of that. Like, that's what you used to see. Imagine like PTQ finals, how big of a deal that was, and those were regularly played in hotel lobbies and stuff. And people would not even like back then record on like shitty smartphones or something. Like it just happened, and I don't know. that aspect of Magic, that kind of like super grassroots aspect of Magic, that very much appeals to me. I don't know why. I mean, it's not a great solution, but I think it's kind of cool.
I like it as well. I think it's cool.
Awesome. So with all of that in the books, Kai, you already told us you got second.
Second?
You wish.
I got second.
Hell yeah.
22nd place. Playing 7 rounds of Legacy, playing your trusty Doomsday list, or
Yes.
were there any experiments?
Pretty
Okay.
much.
Tell us about it.
I think like one little advice maybe for anyone out there who wants to go to a big event. I usually only sleeve up my 75 for the event. I never take any extra sideboard cards with me or anything that could go in the deck. I'm pretty much set. People go absolute crazy when they see like the trials the day before. And for example, the trial for this event was very, very combo focused. A lot of like Bragler Reanimator and other fast combo decks. And on the main event, it was rather a fair meta game. So like if you go to a big event, just stick to your deck and just don't even
So
worry
you don't
about
get
it.
tempted to like mix
Right.
it up.
Because it's not going to work out anyway. Yeah, you just I think
There's
all
no hope. Just don't
right?
even
Like
try.
all it does, all it does is that you get less sleep and you're not really focused. Maybe you're even unsure how to sideboard at the event, which is I think just absolutely terrible. But yeah, here we go. So I got paired against Buck Hogak. I had a turn 1 kill, opponent didn't really show anything. While sideboarding, they even said something along those lines of like, hey, I have nothing to board in against your deck, which is, which really like reminds me of paper tournaments when people like they just randomly say things
say
like that.
dude.
It's like, hey, me neither. I mean, I haven't really seen anything.
We're just gonna play game 1 again, where I turn 1 you. Sounds good.
Right? Yeah, pretty much so. Yeah.
Unless it's like the double bluff and they're just siding like 4 archive traps or something.
Oh man.
I mean, they gotta do the 15 in, 15
it
out,
was-
even if they don't bring in anything.
I mean, it was kind of close because they played a Hedron Crab in game number 2, and as you know, you can target any player with Hedron Crab, which is a disaster for Doomsday.
But you killed him on the first turn again.
I just forced it, and and then I had like an easy game because they don't play forces.
Classic Kai.
What
Yeah.
a match! What a
But
match!
I gotta say though, I think in all 7 rounds, people recognized either the podcast or my stream or really like anything. It was so pleasant and like,
That's
man, it was such a cool experience. In my second round, I got paired against Golgari Depths, which also I haven't seen in a while. But it is not the typical like the turbo version. It's like kind of like a Golgari slow Depths with Dark Confidence. Ursa Saga was also there. It's interesting deck.
Did you actually see Depths out of interest? Because I know there is a version which like Ozymandias 17, aka Matt's played without Depths. It's just like a kind of black-green mid-range, low to the ground with sagas.
Oh, I saw Tespin stage, and also I was like talking to the guy later, and he showed me the Dark Depths also.
Okay.
And also his I wanted to highlight his absolute secret tech, which I think is an incredible call for this deck. It's the card Hall of Gemstones, and I'm pretty sure not a lot of people know this card.
I know the card. Let me take a guess. It's an enchantment, colorless to green, and I think on every upkeep, the player whose turn it is has to decide which color all their lands make this turn, right?
Pretty much, but it's an enchant world. Yeah, it's even better.
It's enchant world. Ooh,
Yeah,
it
it's
can
so
be killed
cool.
by like Raging River or what have you.
Right. It's from Vision. No, it's not Visions. Mirage. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
Mirage.
The
It's
most
the
beautiful
pawn
set.
sheet.
I mean, I think the card is also on the restricted list. Yeah.
Reserved list. Yeah, I
Reserved
played that in
list, yes.
Commander. When I played like mono green French dual Commander, I had that in my deck.
Right. And okay, and like I was looking at this card, and I really didn't get it until he said something like I think the prismatic endings don't work anymore, or like cards like Uro or Expressive Iteration don't work anymore. Like a lot of fair decks these days are double or triple colored.
That's
And-
cool. Yeah.
And it kind of like this card like single-handedly just takes them off.
Or like they have to choose whether to cast the Ponder or a Source of Plowshares or shut off to Fairy or all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it
Interesting
also
card,
affects
right?
basic lands, right? It basically affects all the lands they have.
Yeah.
The only way around would be to have something, I guess, like Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, or something like, but nobody really has that.
I was at the beginning. I was like, "Huh, seems cool. It's probably there for something specific." But it kind of is, because it's like these 4-color, 5-color nonsense decks. But actually, yeah, the more you think about it, the better it sounds. It's pretty cool, because I guess this Golgari Depths deck, like, it's either casting a black or a green spell. It's kind of straight ahead, where you're like swamp, or just like Thoughtseize, Dark Confident, you're done, or whatever. But yeah, I really like it. That's cool.
And again, like this is like one of those moments where where you happen to know these secret texts at that paper tournament. I just find these like cards really interesting, because I think he had this card for quite some time, maybe even in his commander deck or so. And then there's just sometimes you're just gonna like go through boxes and you might find something.
Yeah,
so cool.
So I just looked it up. It's currently, let's say, €12 on Card Market. I don't know. Is it gonna go? Is it? Yeah, it actually is on the reserved list. I just verified. Are we gonna hype Hall of Gemstone to the moon? I don't know. I kind of wanna try it now, because now that you've mentioned it, there's probably like, it's still not great against like Lurid Diver, right? That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't go Ponder into Lightning Bolt, for example, or like they can't go Expressive Iteration.
Yeah, they can never express Federation with doesn't play. Right. So, but it's still like a 3-mana enchantment. But it's cool. I think it screws over like basically all the control decks.
Right. Yeah. Just got anything. Okay. And then I was still like 2-0, and then round 3 was crazy, because like I sit down and my opponent he already starts with like, hey, I have played Legacy in about 10 years or something like that. And I was like, well, cool. Okay, well, better be prepared for like Eidolons and Goblin Guides, right? And well, that didn't happen, but my opponent went like, once upon a time for Cavern of Souls. Okay, well, played it and said Wizard. And like in my head, I was already like, what on earth, dude? Like,
what a nerd! Patron wizard in your sights.
Like, but what the hell is that? Right? Take my turn. I have a lot of counter magic, but I have a pretty like a slow start. No Doomsday yet. Like Ponder go. Opponent drops a Boseiju, the new green Boseiju, and says go again. Okay, and like I'm even more confused. Take my turn. Play like 2 cantrips. Have triple Force of Will with triple pitch. Ready to cast Doomsday next turn, say go. And then opponent draws and plays an Eldrazi Temple.
That's getting better.
And says, so it's obviously Eldrazi Wizards.
Well, right? Yeah, and then but he keeps saying go, right? So he says go, and it's like, and in my head, I'm kind of like just like, what is this? Because he is 2-0. Like it's not like this is like the first round of the tournament. And end of turn, I do crack a fetch land. And that's where he taps all 3 lands. And I want you guys to tell me.
I know what it is. So
we both know what it is. I think I don't want to give myself too much credit. I think I would have expected it. It feels a little weird, but
I don't even know. I don't know.
Gives it away.
I don't even know it's a wizard. So there we go. I would have walked straight into it.
The thing is, there's an overlap with Quasali Pride Mage, which is also a wizard, which is also played in those colors, and that's why you would usually name wizard.
Is it a wizard cat? And this one is a bird wizard?
It's probably a bird wizard, yeah. I don't know. I usually name. So yeah,
pretty much so.
Kai, tell us what.
It is the Maven Mind Sensor.
Nice.
Holy moly! God damn it! I have not seen this card in ages, and especially not in the main deck. And I was there, and it literally like the curtain, just closed in front of my eyes. Just like I have 0 outs to this card. I have triple force, which are absolutely unusable. This game went longer than I thought, because I somehow managed to resolve a Street Wraith, and things like
a natural foil to Aven Mind Sensor.
I kept forcing all his Eldrazi, because like the Cavern was on Wizard, right? It's like, so all his
train wreck of a game.
Dude, and it was literally like a 2-1 flyer against a 3-4 Swamp Walk for like 3 or 4 turns.
Oh yeah, man.
Until he dropped Eldrazi Displacer, and then it was lights out.
I mean, this wasn't coverage.
Dude, no, man. I wished it was, but it was such an incredible match.
So a question about this interaction really quickly though.
Please.
Maybe we should actually, before Callum, sorry to interrupt you, maybe we should quickly mention what Aven Mind Sensor does, because the card hasn't been really a thing outside of like my
I'm gonna ask about it. So yeah, Aven Mind Sensor it's a 3 mana, 2 and a white for a 2/1 flash and flying, and it is indeed a bird wizard. And if an opponent would search a library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. So, like, the fetch stand can only look at the top 4 cards of the library. So my question is, do you think it was right for them to do it in response to the fetch? Or maybe if they waited for you to cast Doomsday, you just exile your library and have 4 random cards from the top of your library. And then you probably die.
You probably wait until Doomsday, right? Because it can't get countered anyway.
Yeah. And if they cast a Thoughtseize, then you just flash it in. And you can't
Right.
like instant speed the Doomsday. So I think it'd be cool to hold it, but then I guess they're doing nothing in passing the turn. But
Yeah.
it's pretty cool in response to Doomsday. You pretty much lose unless the Oracle's the top 4 cards or...
I think the consideration that goes
in
into
your
that is we've seen a lot of mid-range Doomsday decks, and the opponent might be aware that they completely kind of gave away that they have Mind Sensor. Like, no disrespect to Kai, of course, but they might already think, oh, this guy will probably play around this, and so I better get the value that I can get because I don't have to like risk it. And like Stone Raining Kai, maybe that's good enough.
I mean, like, if there's like one thing I could have changed in the game, it's like I could have forced the Once Upon a Time, but like you almost never force a Once Upon a Time, and that's wrong. I don't know.
No, I think like when I cast it in Painter, 90% of the time I'll be happy if it gets forced.
Yeah, it's usually like that, especially when they do it on the first time before playing the land, which is usually the ones that get forced the most. It's kind of a weird dynamic where you feel like, I might do it. On the other hand, it's like horrible when you force your opponent's 0 mana spell and they still get to play a very normal game. It's literally like a mulligan on your side. Plus or rather -1 life, so it's the odds don't really work out that way unless like you think the matchup is horrible and you might take the gamble, and in your case that's probably not something you would really like do in that spot.
Right. Yeah. And game 3 was pretty much the same thing again, except I wasn't a mulligan to 6, and they also had Chalice of the Void in addition. But I mean,
you got wrecked.
Yeah, dude, like
absolutely smashed.
It was not easy. It was not easy. Yeah. Green, white, it was green, white, Eldrazi. Green a little bit for the Boseiju and Once Upon a Time, and white for Displacer and Aven Mind Sensor.
Yeah, I guess white Eldrazi, like the Eldrazi in Texas has been a thing for quite a while. I can see why you would play green in there.
Yeah, it top 8'd the last GP.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, Bologna.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. It was just like not on anyone's radar and then top 8'd. So maybe it's a pretty underplayed archetype.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe that's our answer to the question of last episode, which archetypes are underexplored.
This is the kind of thing that's good against the removal of the format. Like, I mean, Chalice, it gets prismatic endinged, but if you're like have a fast clock with your Eldrazi aren't getting like endinged either. And if you have a Chalice down, it stops the swords being a tempo thing. You need to pay 2 mana to exile the Chalice, and could be.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
I think it's just very weak to Uro, but Uro is on quite a downswing at the moment, so maybe
I'm just celebrating the opponent because Aven Mind Sensor is one of my favorite cards ever. I streamed Maverick as a donation decklist this week, and I used to have like 2 Aven Mind Sensors on the list. For the stream, I changed it down to 1, and that card's just incredible. That's absolutely incredible. It's also like it creates these hype moments for stream where it comes down, which is already like blowout, but then your opponent still gets to search their top 4, so maybe, I vote for Aven Mind Sensor as one of the most entertaining cards that any streamer could ever put in the stack.
Dude, I mean, like green white players want like one thing, and it's freaking disgusting.
And you kept playing against green white players, right? So
yes, I did. Yeah, the next round was green white Depths. He was also a huge fan of the podcast. I hope I don't butcher his name. It's Joel Grenahit, I think.
Oh, he's a supporter.
Yeah, he's in the Discord.
Yeah.
He's one of the questions.
Super cool guy. He was even wearing the Everyday Eternal t-shirt, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. Awesome.
Oh, amazing. I remember sending him that.
Yeah. He was in Depths too, so he was my second Depths opponent. On green white, I want to say pretty classic, like,
He played Naya, by the way, because he had Minsk and Boo in his deck. He posted a picture.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of blasts. Right.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a great deck choice. I think green white Depths is still an amazing deck, and blasts are just worth splashing at the moment. And Minsk and Boo is pretty damn good as well. So
Oh
Dude,
yeah, I love
if anybody, if we ever get big enough, somebody do like a parody of Everyday Eternal, they will probably like throw in the random. Oh, by the way, we think Green by Depth is actually a really good
It's
deck.
like every episode.
I think we've been saying this since Eternal Weekend 2020. So like
Yeah.
coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that.
Yeah, someone
So
please
cool.
don't go back and listen to everyone and count it up. It's going to sound really silly.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna do that for episode 200.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Kai, I see you took the match 2-0.
Yeah. And then follow up by a 2-1 against Tess, the Epic Storm. That was against a local from Berlin, a different play group. Vincent was his name. We played a crazy best of 3.
Was it a really all foil pimped out deck?
It was pretty much pimped out. Yeah,
Yeah,
Brainstorms
I think I
before
know him.
and so on.
He lived in London for a bit as well. Cool guy.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's European Bryant.
Kind of. He knows Brian as well. We did our one pre-Innistrad event and he won it with Tez.
Oh,
That
pretty
doesn't
cool.
sound like Bryant.
No.
Hashtag shade.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, nice to see him there.
No, it was a cool match. But again, like that, it was an awkward game 3 because, like the story I mentioned earlier with Martin and his Pondus, my opponent Vincent, he forgot. He spinned the Echo of Aeons. We drew a fresh 7, but he forgot to shuffle his graveyard into the library, and then we already drew 7, and he cast 2 Brainstorms after that, and then he realized, oh, actually, I still have a graveyard. Judge came over, and was like, yeah, well, just put them on the bottom of your library, and like, I understand why he said that, but like we were like sitting at 4 and 1, I think each, and it's kind of like a big deal, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, like, at that point, you probably, like, you can't fix it, right? You can't go back. So it should probably be a warning to both of you guys, because both of you guys missed that. That's like, I think back in the days it would be called, like, failure to maintain game set or whatever. I think it's been revised many times over. But
Right.
I think even under a different rules enforcement level, especially since this is, like, both you guys' fault, there's not too much. They would certainly not give a game loss, so there's not too much really to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like another episode that happened.
Yeah.
But it's also I could clearly tell that most players were not they were not used to play paper magic. Like they said, they dropped so many cards on the floor. Were pretty poor at shuffling. I think they did a better job before. But
I often think when I see that, I'm like, don't you just goldfish constantly at home? But I guess not.
10 years ago, that was me. Like, I was sitting in front of my computer. I was shuffling my land stack back then, which is kind of crazy, right? When you think about how expensive a land stack is these days. But I would just sit there, draw a 7, play out the first 2 turns, shuffle back, do it again. And honestly, I think I talked about this. Like, right around 2008, I think I had an actual addiction to shuffling. Like, that I'm not even joking. Like, I would sometimes travel somewhere where I was guaranteed to not play Magic. I would still bring a deck just so I could, like, randomly shuffle it while I was not doing anything. I think there was, maybe addiction is the wrong word, neurosis or whatever. Neurosis is probably, like, the better word. And I had to make a conscious effort to not bring decks when I knew I was not going to play them, so I would just, like, not constantly shuffle them.
Imagine sitting next to you on a plane, just like, oh my god, will he stop?
I probably shouldn't even
man.
talk about it. I feel like the urge coming back. No, I've been
No,
cured.
dude, I totally get that. Like sometimes, like you meet up with a new business partner, and then the first thing you do is like just getting the business cards and kind of like start hand shuffling. I totally get that.
Does it work that way in Japan? That
dude,
when somebody gives you their business card, you have to treat it like solid gold, like it's the biggest thing in the world.
Right, like hand shuffling someone's business card isn't actually like the actual worst thing you can do in Japan, I think.
Cool, and you put it in your pocket.
Right.
And you have to accept it with like both hands and then like actually look at it. Oh
Yep.
my god.
Also definitely say thank you, arigatou gozaimasu, just like bow a little bit and
I would sometimes like ride on the business card. That's definitely not a thing.
Really? Oh man. Dude, you like? I think you're like lifetime banned from Japan. Holy moly!
Oh man. I remember when I was at the trade fair and I met a Chinese, we don't have Chinese partners, but they were like introducing themselves as potential Chinese partners, and they took a picture of me and they printed it out. They had one of those Polaroids and they stapled it to my business card, so they knew who I was. I didn't mind it. It just felt a little bit weird when all of a sudden they just like Polaroided a picture of myself, and they were like, "Oh, cool!" And then they stapled it to my business card. I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
that wouldn't work in Japan, I guess."
We can work on that. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, and then the last 2 rounds was my second loss. Unfortunately, was a 1 and 2 to a blue red Delver deck with counterbalance post sideboard, which was another big headache. Another thing I had to the matchup is already super bad, and on top of that, if they go counterbalance, then it's technically like in the 20% range of win percentage against Delver.
Okay.
Maybe 30, but definitely not above that.
I've seen a couple of lists, but they usually only had like one counterbalance in the sideboard. I think Marcus Ewald also talked about that he faced some kind of Delver counterbalance list. I feel for you guys.
You only need one if you draw it. It's
right. Also shout outs to Marcus. I met him for the first time. Man, dude, he's such a cool dude.
Oh, you have some serious reconnecting with the European Legacy
community. I know. Yeah, I've met a lot of people for the first time. Also, like all the MTGO grinders, who ended up being in the top 8. Most of them I met for the first time, and dude, man, why are Europeans so tall? I just
people say nutrition. I don't know how that works. You would think other countries also. I think the Dutch are supposed to be the tallest in Europe. I don't know how that works, but
they are pretty big.
I guess you have to stay above the waterline, right? Because the entire country is underwater, technically.
Right. Okay, is that true? Okay, cool.
No, that's not real. So yeah, you were out of top 8 contention with the second loss, right?
Yep. Picked up, but
you brought shame to the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I was a little down, but also not really, because I had so much fun, just between the rounds. It was so cool. The last round was 2-0 against Black Red Reanimator. Didn't need a single graveyard hit. It was pretty. I think it was also the quickest game. I think the match was over after 5 minutes, because we only had a total of 3 turns or 4 turns total combined.
Oh, dude, I know that feeling so well.
Things.
Yeah,
I know that feeling so well, right? You're right out of top 8 contention. You thought, I'm so close to top 8, and then you didn't make it, and you sit down for the last round. Both of you sit there. You're like, okay, well, let's play it out, and then it's over in in a minute.
Exactly. Yeah, and so 5 and 2 was not even close for top 16, but at 22nd place, there were a bunch of 5 and 2s, I think, at the event. And again, it was a 125 player tournament, which I think was a big deal. I had a lot of fun, and I was watching the top 8 later, and I think we're gonna talk about the top 8 in a second.
Should we actually play an 8th round if there's 125 players?
I think.
Oh no! Wait. Well, okay, I think it's 128, right? And also there's sometimes weird cutoffs. The higher you get, it's not
I'm pretty sure
powers
it's
of 2.
8.
Right. It was barely 7 rounds.
Oh, that also explains why 5 and 2 wasn't good enough for top 16. Then, even though you only got your first loss in the 3rd round. Yeah. Okay. It all makes sense.
Right.
So did you get any? Oh no, you didn't get any prizes, right? Those were top 16?
Actually, I did get prizes because the Tier1Con already promised a prize pool, and I think they planned something around 300 people for the Legacy tournament, and they would double the prizes if there was attendance of a 500, I believe, but it ended up being just 125, which is way below the expectations. So even for me, as on 22nd place, I still got my entry fee back, which was
that's very fair.
Which is pretty nuts. Yeah.
I really hope that they didn't lose too much in it, and they go ahead with it next year. Maybe the lesson here is, you need to have your first event be scaling prizes from lower levels or something.
Same. I think at this point, most people don't really care about the prizes. They just want to play a lot of Magic, They just want to, we want Tier1Con to succeed.
That's the best way to put it, really, right?
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Top 8 then. So you said you watched it. This is kind of what I miss. Even if you don't make top 8, I love just watching them play at the end and stuff. I'm always there. Whatever games I play, even in Warhammer, I like to stay around to the end and watch the finals and stuff and try and learn from the people and see what's going on. So do one of you want to give us a run through?
Yeah, so in first place, we have Daniel Perez on lands. Should we look into that? I've got it open up here. Looks to be...
It's not normal.
This is not a normal list.
No.
He has 4 main decks Fear of Resistance and 2 Ancient Tomb. That's not normal at all. And so I used to love this. When I played more lands, I didn't play the Spheres main, but having them sideboard and then 1 Ancient Tomb, you'd often like crop rotation for it. So you have the 4 crop rotation and 4 Mox Diamond to be able to play your turn 1 spheres. He's like doubling down on this and playing it main deck, and I kind of love it. I'm a sucker for Sphere Resistance.
Like, yeah, I saw Daniel Perez and during the Swiss, and dude, he crushed Storm. Holy moly. Man, I've never seen Storm being like this. Like, it looked so weak and against this deck. It was, and I'm not a lands expert, but there are no punishing fires in this list, for example. And
that's so
I think
refreshing.
and like I think someone mentioned that punishing fire just is too slow for Legacy right now, because like so many must kill threats are cost less than 2 mana, so you're always like trading down on mana. Sometimes you can't even keep up with the creatures. Like, for example, against elves, they just play so many things at once that you can't just keep doing the thing, you know. And instead,
you can't
against
keep
elves,
casting Dark Banishing every turn. That's what I've been calling it, because except for the first one, it's always like a 3 mana spell, basically. And Dark Banishing, even if you get to recur, it's just like not legacy playable. I mean,
it's not even that against like Delver with DRC being a 3/3, it's like 5 mana, and then don't even start on Murktide, obviously. So yeah,
it's 5 mana or even 6 mana if you want to do it like all in a single turn.
Like I could see it coming back into the format. It's totally a kind of mess game call where the lands includes it now. So like if some bans or changes happen, obviously, then if you have like Delver and Yone Pyromancer, then you know it gets better again. But at the moment, it is a bit too slow and doesn't hit the right things.
Actually very green, right? When I look at this, the only other dual lands is like 1 Tiger and 1 Tropical Island, both for, holy moly, look at that sideboard. It's like blast galore. I got 1 blue elemental blast, I got 1 hydroblast, 1 pyroblast, 2 red. Like, we're playing all the red blasts.
Because it's actually rug deck, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, but it's heavily leaning on green, what I see here. Like 3 endurances, 2 chokes, 4 Force of Rigor. Of course, the 1 Tron Foundry to screw Doomsday every once in a while. This is one of the land decks I actually love the most. Like, what I see here appeals to me much more than any of the other land decks I ever see.
Yeah, it seems great.
There's also Crucible. Yes, just a lot of cool stuff going on.
Do you think the Blue Blast and Hydro Blast probably for Meltdown? Because with the addition of Sphere of Resistance and obviously leaning on, I guess they have as a Saga CF4, it's just like lands is almost like a kind of an artifact deck secretly now. It makes so many things. You got like Mox Diamonds everywhere, and you got your construct tokens and stuff, and then you got Pithing Needle randomly here and there. And as I said, now with the spheres, so I reckon they're just for meltdowns.
Yeah, might be. I think, especially in paper, right there. Played a little bit more because of like random stuff that you can see. I mean, in online you can also play it because it's decent against Sturba. I love seeing, especially Hydroblast, because it's such cool artwork. This sideboard is pretty dedicated, right? I got a bunch of like of these counter spells, and then I got the heavy hitting ones like Choke, Endurance, Force of Rigor, and of course the one of Tron Foundry. This deck, I want to say, is beautifully constructed.
Yep, I love it.
This gets the Julian's flavor mark of approval. The one of Tower of Magistrate. I'm not sure what we're doing with that. I mean, I know what it does. What exactly are we looking to do with this? And I guess just like it's another way to meddle with, let's say, Culture Complete. I guess you could also use Maze of Ith for that.
It might be just attacking through Psy as well, like the Depths deck. I think it's not going to be an integral part of the plan. Like Depths has to attack through Thopter tokens. I think this is just another utility land that you probably realized I have enough colored sources I can afford to run this.
Yeah, makes sense. And like you brought up, right, the side to just like get in there, so you
right.
I mean, you don't have to like randomly bleed them out with Tabernacle or something.
I mean, there's also no removal, as I said, right? Like there's no punching fire, so like the tower might just be an unnecessary evil. Yeah, maybe sometimes to just buy time. Yeah,
I can see it.
Awesome. So, moving on, second place, a good friend of mine, Jan Langer. I have so many great memories of attending events with Jan. Jan is playing Elves in this tournament. From what I understand, he doesn't really get to play a lot of Legacy these days, so before big events, he just like grabs a list from the internet and runs in these big events.
He's a monster with Elves. He has like 2 European Eternal Weekend top 8s as well with Elves.
Back to back, yeah. He got in, I think, 2016, and then actually, Callum, when you and I made top 8 at Eternal Weekend in 2017, I was traveling with them.
When there was 3 elves there, I remember.
Yeah, that was amazing. Dude, that was one of the craziest trips to me when I look back. We were 4 guys. Duke Tron, Anders Thiessen, by the way, who was head-judging the event. It's a small word. Who was head-judging the Tier 1Con event this time. And Jan and me. and we were 4 guys, and 3 of us got top 8 in Eternal Weekend, and
Pretty
Luke
good.
got, I think, 17th place or something, and I think it was a cut to top 16. It
Yeah,
wasn't actually no.
say.
I think Andrea Mengucci was like top. Anyway, but this so many good memories of playing events with Jan. Also, when I won MKM Hamburg 2018, I was randomly crashing at his place. I almost didn't want to go, and then I caught the night train, and I was like literally sleeping just like 4 hours at his place, and then we went to the event together the next morning. Awesome guy.
Yeah.
And
There is a story about like one of the rounds. It was like, I think like the like most ridiculous game maybe like in the entire tournament. He played against Omnitel or like a show and tell. I think it was like blue white Omnitel. Opponent resolved show and tell and lost. And that was it was incredible. So
can I guess?
Yeah, just make a guess.
Okay, there's many ways. Like, one is you put in Allosaurus Shepherd, and then you like force a figure the Omniscience or something. There's also like something like Busichu to take it out. But hit us. What actually happened?
Okay, so opponent puts in Emrakul, the Eon's Thorn. Jan puts in Progenitus. And then follows up and takes his turn and casts Natural Order for Crater Who Behemoth. Holy moly. Dude, Emrakul had to jump block.
Making Emrakul look silly is one of the most fun things.
I've never seen something like that. It was like a more than 30 power protection from everything creature.
So just tangent a second. At the last Eternal Weekend I played a few years ago, I was playing Bug Hogak, and my opponent played a turn 2 show and tell, and I put in a carrion feeder and made the Emrakul jump block.
Yeah, Emrakul.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, Emrakul's just like a big wall.
Yeah,
A big overpriced wall.
it's pretty bad.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's amazing.
Congrats to Jan. Julian, you're the expert, but like a mandate progenitus is not usual, right?
Newton has done that for quite a while on Magic Online.
Okay.
I think I would guess, looking at the list, except for the Vivian, Jan probably like downloaded it and played it.
Fair enough.
We also had a little bit of a talk about especially the removal suit in the sideboard, because that's the number one thing Avs players these days basically are still discussing, like whether you want to go for. You guys have probably seen Snuff Out or what have you. There's like many different ways you could go.
I know Shriekmore's talked about at the moment.
Yeah, Shriekmore's kind of cool because you can get Shriekmore off Once Upon a Time.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, on the other hand, it's not instant speed. We could probably have an entire episode where we just discuss the removal options in the sideboard for elves, because right now there's so many different things. There's Murderous Cut that people sometimes talk about. Of course, that's like rather hard to hardcast and stuff. There's Runoff Hall, which shows up. Actually, in this list, it shows up as a one-off. Of course, there's also the 2-mana options that we still have around, like Abrupt Decay, not so much ever since Murktide became a thing. But Assassin's Trophy is still like technically something you could play and might come back. Yeah, it's an entire episode on itself. Also, there's a one-off Vivian Monsters Advocate in the sideboard.
Yeah, what does this do?
We don't know, because Jan, after the event, he told me he literally never drew it a single time.
Okay.
But it's a 5-mana Planeswalker, 3 colorless and 2 green, legendary Planeswalker Vivian. It comes into play with 3 loyalty. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. So it's like, it's good. +1, create a green 3/3 beast creature token. Put your choice of Vigilance, Reach, or Trample on it. And for -2, when you cast your next creature spell this turn, search your library for a creature card with lesser mana value, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Yeah, it's 5 mana.
I mean, it's a future side, right?
It's kind of like a future side for creatures. Yeah. I think the problem with the card is, first of all, it competes with Nissa Vital Force, which I think is just straight up better, because Nissa comes into play and ultimates the next turn and like, blows exactly that kind completely out of the water that you wanna target with a 5-mana Planeswalker, which is control decks. And this one is not as good. So
it doesn't seem great to me. You can -2 and then cast Progenitus, and then you go and get a Kraytooth.
And then you attack with your Kratos for 7.
No, you've obviously got some idiots in play. You've got some insect tokens from your Grist, and you've got like a random Wirewood symbiote.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
You've got 2 insects because you Grist plus and you hit like a Wirewood symbiote as well. There you go.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Vivian. He's probably happy he didn't draw it, is my guess.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. But awesome, yeah. Really great to see Avs doing well, of course.
Right. You know what? Before we go on, there is another story against the same show and tell opponent. I just
Oh, poor show and tell.
Yeah. No. It's just it was. I think it was like it must have been like one of the post-board games. But again, opponent resolved show and tell and lost the game.
Happens a lot.
But this time around, like he put in Gristlebrand.
I mean, it's the hardest card in the deck for a reason.
Right? And Jan put it in the Allosaur Shepherd and then cast Runnerful.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's coming. It
can't be counted.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, as I'm biting down on one of my peanuts, I shouldn't actually be eating while we record. You know, ever since Allosaur Shepherd got printed, that matchup changed quite a bit because anything show and tell is still like rather bad for elves, but it used to be literally our worst matchup in the entire world, which right now might rather be lands, I would guess. But Allosaur Shepherd changed it so much because now they can draw all the cards in the world. They won't force offer any of your stuff now, except for, like, I guess, discard spells or something. And that's amazing. That's also why I still don't hate Assassin's Trophy, because Assassin's Trophy also works very well in the matchup all of a sudden. And yeah, I think Allosaur Shepherd is amazing. But poor show and tell guy. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not. Yeah, third place, we got Eternal Weekend 2021 winner Jörg Heinrich, also known as Errantly Landless on Magic Online.
Hell yeah.
And he's sporting pretty much the same list like Jan, except for, I guess, the sideboard. There might be some minor differences, but I'm not really seeing any of them in the main deck. I think he's got the Collective in the main.
I was about to say, he has that evil little oof.
Yeah, and he doesn't have the endurance. Yeah, I guess that's the one thing. And then the sideboard is somewhat different. He's actually running the Murderous Cuts I'm talking about. The rest is pretty straightforward. Yeah, this you know, what's so cool about these people call them Reclaimer elves. I guess we can call them. For me, it's more like mid-range elves. Is that they play a lot more Magic. They almost, I don't want to call their interactiveness to be on the level on, like, let's say Death in Texas, which is to me like the gold standard of playing Magic. Doomsday players, please don't listen. Turn away for a moment.
You're good.
But you play so much more mid-range Magic, and that's amazing. And doing those guys, seeing those guys do well, I guess speaks to how much game you actually have when you play this deck.
Yeah, it feels like you kill with like Creator for Progenitors in the end most games, but actually Shepherd as well. Like, that's the cool thing, like, because you have these different angles, you can just win turn 3 fairly often with Natural Order, but you definitely grind through things. Like, I think when I tried the list, it was like turn 1 Reclaimer, and then turn 2 you kind of just leave it up to get a Bog or like interaction if you need it. Otherwise you go and get a Guy's Cradle, and then it definitely like finds the Guy's Cradle better, and yeah, you go from there and just abuse that. And
you know, especially against Dever, you find yourself in grinding situations quite often where you don't get to Crowd Off, you don't get to Progenitors, but you keep turning your 3/4 sideways because they usually need to 2-for-1 themselves to even get rid of it in the first place. And I mean, a 3/4 attacking every turn, that's basically Dever. And yeah, that's just like, you trade off the explosiveness, you trade off some wins in like the bad matchups, but I think at least right now, it does make up for it in the mid-range. And that's kind of cool. Also, like, the play experience is on another level. Even though, I guess, like, coming off with, like, your Nettle Sentinels in turn 2, that's also amazing. Like, I remember when I did that in paper, sometimes people would even play, like, the William Tell ballad and everything. So it's like, wow.
Yeah. It is fun. I find it, like, a bit more fun, but, like, doing the combo elf stuff. But I think Reclaimer has the results to back it up recently.
Yeah, certainly. Good. Then we got fourth place, Dennis Kampelmann, playing Blue-Red Delver. Yeah, this is not Delver, this is actually straight up Delver. Is there anything special in two Parablasts main deck?
And there is a counterbalance in the main deck already.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Evil Delver. So
is that how we call it?
I don't know. Now with the counterbalance main, maybe. Dennis is another Magic Online crusher. He's oddball online, so many people have probably played against him there.
Would guess.
Yeah.
He's not like playing against bots all alone in Magic Online every single round.
Yeah. Just played against me all the time and crushing me properly.
I was just like feeling, whoa, Pyroblast in paper? Like, everybody does in Magic Online, right? It's almost like standard. Like, these days the crazy people play 3 Pyroblast.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 3, well, like 2.5 blue decks in the top 8. One of them being Allurin, which is blue, obviously, and blasts are good there, but yeah. I mean, they carried him, I guess.
Yeah. It's always that awkward moment when you talk about a Java deck and you're like, yeah, there's really not all that much to say about that.
3 days. Well, there's 3 days.
Oh, look, it's the one of Chain Lightning.
Yeah.
What do you think of 3 days, though?
I guess that's the slot for the counterbalance.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Right. I think like this version can maybe just go well into like a mid-rangey territory, like way better than like other devil decks maybe.
Yeah, especially post-board with the counterbalances, right?
Right. There's like another counterbalance in the sideboard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the unlicensed hearse a lot. I think I mentioned it last week, but I think that could be a mirror breaker if he needs more mirror breakers. Like you keep them off their Murktides, and then it just smacks in the face really hard.
Yeah. Cool. So with that, we mentioned top 4 split, but still played it out for the glory. Now we come to 5th through 8th place, so the losers of the quarterfinals. We got Sebastian Basso on Alluren. Alluren can be like so many different things these days, I guess. Is this bug? I'm seeing a lot of bug cards.
It is, yeah. I have such a soft spot for these like Alluren and Food Chain, these creature combo decks. They're kind of paper fan favorites as well. Alluren's not too bad to play on Magic Online, but Food Chain is horrific. And they've always been skirting like kind of B tier, sometimes mid, sometimes upper. And they are pretty good. Like these bug shells, like you play so much interaction for Delver and stuff.
People love them. People always love them. Like just like kind of like mid-rangey piles are always like on very high on the like on popularity. I think like among all players. Like doesn't even matter if it's like Legacy, Modern, or like any other format. I think like you do it a little bit. You have a couple of like 2-for-1s. You have a bit of counter magic. You have a stable mana base.
Pretty much.
That's like
you
that's
have
like
Uro to fix like half the games, I guess.
like you do play a lot of like actual Magic the Gathering. You know what I mean? Like creatures and counters and this and that. Like the basics.
You get your money's worth at an event. You probably go 2-1 or 1-2 every round, and
right.
Yeah, but you're right. Alluren, especially Alluren, there's nobody who like randomly picks up Alluren before the event. Usually, you are your community's Alluren guy. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been playing for maybe since the card was released. And that I mean, actually, let me click Sebastian's name. Let's see. Oh, okay. So it only lists one finish, but I bet he's been playing the deck forever. I would be surprised if that was just like a random thing he thought of before the tournament. Was like, you know what?
Alluren's actually the choice. It's busted. Ukima Stalking Shadow is going to take this event by force.
Cool. Yeah. And moving on, next place, we have Albert Lindblom, also known as Ally on Magic Online, playing, you guessed it, Lance. He used to be a guest. He was a guest on our podcast, I think last year, or was it actually earlier this year, where we talked a lot about his like training and exercise regime. And here he's putting it to great use. Callum, I think you call him the scariest Lance player on Magic Online. Is that accurate?
I think he's the scariest Lance player in the world. He just always has my number recently when we play, and he's just played the decks so much.
He just made Jarvis cry.
Well, Jarvis, I always beat
He's
Jarvis.
retired from competitive Magic. Is that what you were going to say?
No, I always beat Jarvis, so no. I love him, but I've got his number. Like, Ali's got my number.
The guy who like back to like won a legacy GP and like top 8 at the very next one. It's like, oh, I always beat him. He's like, I got his number. Easy game.
I like poking fun.
Awesome.
But yeah, Ali, he's fascinating because he used to be like a combo player. He used to play the Epic Storm and stuff, and then he would be like really deep into that. This was years ago, he said, and then he picked up lands a bunch of years ago, and he's just been like hyper dedicated to it. Like he just basically doesn't play anything else. So yeah, he's probably messed around with a couple other things online, but he has these like routines as well where he really tests and trains and stuff. And he just works so hard for it. And he's one of the players where if you're an aspiring lands player or you play lands, and you look at his list, every single card there has been like earning its spot, meticulously worked out. He'll have sideboard maps for everything. He'll know every matchup inside out. He'll play against anything and he'll be like, yeah, this is my plan here, so I'm sideboarding this out and this in, and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, he has like files on every single card. Like if you're the mother of like Wineswap Teeth and you come in, and he will tell you exactly what Wineswap Teeth has done over the last 6 months or something.
Yeah, why it's better than Wooded Foothills. So
but don't tell the parents of Wooded Foothills. They will cry.
No, of course not. But
they're not very stable.
But yeah, nothing but respect for him, and great finish.
Yeah. I was actually watching the semi-final match between Albert and Daniel Perez. It was a Lance Mirror.
Oh, shit.
And I gotta say, I've never felt this stupid in my life because I literally didn't know what was going on. It was like they played at a very fast pace, I want to say, but it's pretty much like chess. Really, because like there's not a lot of card advantage going on in except I guess like Silver Library maybe.
Yeah.
But it's like the game is all about timing. I think like when to activate
it's
stages
a
and things like that. Yeah, when to crop rotation. Like you know like your opponent's not gonna counter it, but it's really just the when do you do that?
There's weird stuff like you just can't play your Dark Depths out unless you have the combo ready to go, because they could just like crop for a 30-spin stage and copy it and kill you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's loads of sub games as well. It's a crazy mirror. Exploration I think is the most important card, but I can probably see Endurance and Reclaimer now also being like that high up as well.
I could even see like that matchup going to like time in the first game or something with things go really crazy.
It took forever. And I mean, but you have infinite time in the top 8, so
Oh, that's why the event ran so late.
Right? I mean, like the judges were not amused.
I remember like Anders in our chat was constantly talking about how he's like so like afraid that Marcus Ewald might cause the entire event to be delayed to the next day because Marcus was there to play High Tide. And in the end, apparently it was Ally and Daniel Paris.
A week later, Marcus is still resolving his High Tide.
So, okay, High Tide is at 17. My lands tap for 18.
Yeah.
Cool. So moving on, we got I don't know if you guys know him, Daniel Herens, playing Painter. I think Callum, you want to talk a lot about the deck. I want to talk about the player.
Sure. The player I don't know. I just know that he's a friend of Jan. Do you know him?
I think he's from northern Germany. I'm not sure exactly, but
he was my roommate.
Oh, he was your roommate.
Yeah.
Oh, so we
So coolest guy in the house. Yeah.
He was the coolest guy in the room, at least. Yeah.
Definitely.
No. Because he lives in the same city, I think, in Hamburg, which is like pretty much in the north, and we drove together to Malmö, and dude, he was crushing it like the whole weekend. I think even on the trial day, he went like 5-1 with the same deck list. Now he made top 8 with his own brew. Daniel doesn't use a lot of social media and also doesn't really look up a lot of deck lists online. He just kind of comes up with things, you know.
And, this is so old school. This is how
my
Magic used to work
it.
like in the pre-internet days.
I love it so much. Like if you look at the deck list, it is wild. It is absolutely
really wild.
Yeah, and before we go into the deck list, I remember that guy because he apparently has been dedicated to Painter for a long time. I played against him in 2013 at Bazaar of Mox in Paris in one of the earlier rounds, I think. And he already was playing Painter back then. So when I saw him here in the top 8, I was like, "Ooh, dude! I bet for the last nine years he's been playing nothing but Painter."
Oh, no, he had a bunch of different decks. I gotta say.
You're destroying the story.
I
time.
know.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No. He literally only played Painter.
Cut it out.
Yeah.
He's been.
His parents sent him to like a lonely island, and there was nothing but like canvas and a little bit of paint.
He's been in the deep German forest meditating over this deck list for the past 10 years, and now he's come back with a vengeance.
Deep German forest.
Yeah. Right, the deck list is crazy because Painter has some fairly established, like, you know, not lists, but like archetypes. You have red, and then you have white and blue, and then you have shortcake, and you have these different things. Some more combo focused, some not. This is like 4 color. So the mana base is 4 Ancient Tomb, 2 City of Brass, 4 Glimmer Void, 2 Spire of Industry, and 4 Urza Saga. So that mana base with 4 Glimmer Void, 2 City of Brass, and 2 Spire of Industry already tells you the shit that's about to come. It's just like saying, Rainbow Lands. And so you have creatures, 4 Emery, 4 Goblin Engineer, 4 Goblin Welder, 4 Painter's Servant, and a Twin Shot Sniper. For those that don't know, Twin Shot Sniper, it's the new one, which has Channel, so it deals 2 damage to any target. And then it's a 2/3 reach with ETBs that deals 2 damage to any target. So you can like weld it in and out and stuff, which is pretty nice, and recast it with Emery and search for it with Engineer. I've tried like Emery alongside the Goblins together, and they play quite differently, even though the effects look the same. But I always feel like it was a bit like there's too many. It was a bit redundant on that effect, and you're a bit weak to Graveyard Hate. But he just has a lot of payoffs for them, basically. So the other spells are 1 Bolus of Citadel, which I just love, and it's so good in this list, especially because you go turn 1 Welder or whatever, and then if you have a Welder active and then you search for it with Engineer, you just like flip it in, and it's often just like a big grindy value piece, but it's really good because of what's about to come. So you have 4 Grindstone, 4 Lion's Eye Diamond, 4 Lotus Pedal, 4 Mosh's Bauble, 4 Mox Opal, 1 Nihil Spellborn, 1 Portable Hole, 1 Retrofitted Foundry, and 3 Wishclaw Talisman. So that's tons of zeros. So the Burlesque Citadel is crazy. So you have like 16 lands, which is 6 less than usual. And then you should have like a ton of fast mana. So if you get the Citadel in play with like, you weld it in, there's a good chance you just win the spot because you have like a shuffle effect from the Wishclaw Talisman as well. And the Lion's Eye Diamonds, Lotus Pedal, Mox Opal is just getting you mana. It's pretty nice with the Welder as well. If you just draw the Citadel, you could like, discard it with the Lion's Eye Diamond, or with Emery, you could like sack the Lion's Eye Diamond for 3 black and then cast the Citadel with her. So you've got that going. Then it has just like the 4 Painter, 4 Grindstone, and then 4 Saga to get Grindstones, and a ton of fast mana. So I think this deck is killing turn 2 pretty often.
Yeah, I like how Callum is so excited about this deck.
I love it. It's just great.
I mean, Callum's excitement about Bruce, especially Painter Bruce, is absolutely infectious.
That's it.
I could listen to you like for another hour, like to talk about this deck.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Wishclaw Talisman as the last really cool bit is amazing to weld in and out with the Engineer and Welder. So you can like, so anyone that doesn't know, it's a 2 mana artifact and it comes with 3 wish counters on it. And you can tap 1 mana, remove a wish counter, and search your library for a card. Then shuffle your library, and then your opponent gains control of Wishclaw Talisman. You can only activate it on your turn, but it doesn't say sorcery speed. So what you can do is tap it, activate it, and then you can either Goblin Welder it out or sack it to Goblin Engineer, and then you've sacrificed it so they don't get it, but you still get the tutor effect.
It's so mean. Honestly, if you did it like to a newcomer, they would be like, "This is unfair. Judge, help me out."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Judge would be coming over. Oh, this is Rules Enforcement level regular. We don't do these crazy combos here. Like, takesy backsies, please.
Get it out of here.
Yeah, stop bitching around. I like if I can like say one thing about this deck is that it is fast. I played with my Doomsday deck against this Painter deck, and I could not beat this deck. Like there's not even a counter, right? There's no blast, there's no force of will, but I just lost because my Doomsday deck was slower than this Painter deck. This Painter deck is insane. Like it is so blazing fast with Mox Opals, LEDs, and Lotus Petals. And even if the game goes long, you still have like the Ursa Sagas and you have Emery and all the goblins. Like it kind of goes into the late game pretty well, right?
Yeah.
I love this deck. This is so strong.
So we've got our monthly on Saturday, London Legacy Monthly, and I was going to play that blue-black Ad Nauseam deck just to like spite Julian and hopefully win with it. But
Land Nauseam.
Exactly. But now I've seen this, I can't not play it, obviously.
Right.
It's beautiful. I like my preferred style is the slower like main deck blasts and kind of very mid-rangey kind of thing. But I am a sucker for like fast artifact based combo as well. I just adore this deck. So.
Yeah, this is like if the Epic Storm and Painter had like a baby, something like that.
Yep,
it's super. There's like the sideboard is even crazy, I think.
Yeah, so the sideboard is 1 defense grid, 1 ensnaring bridge, 2 Ethos, 1 Canonist. I love that it's a combo deck that can play Canonist. It's just like
so cool.
It's great. And then I'll just skip a couple that's next. Then there's a Pithy Needle, 2 Pyroblast, 1 Red Elemental Blast, and 2 Swan Song. So Swan Song's pretty cool. Like, I wonder what enchantments you're trying to hit. I guess you just don't care about the Swan, so it's just a bit more flexible than like Spell Pierce or Pyroblast, Flusterstorm or something.
Can Swan Song hit artifacts or something?
No,
it can't. So Daniel and I, we were talking a bit before the event to actually swap the Swan Song for the new Street of Capenna card. I think you give your opponent 2 treasure tokens.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what that card's called, but
an offer you can't refuse.
Right, something like that.
And it's 1 blue instant. You counter a non-creature spell, and then they get 2 treasures.
Yeah, I think you definitely want to play that.
Yeah, that seems cool.
Right, but I mean, like I told him that giving your opponent 2 treasure counters is just too much of a cost, and he should just stick to Swan Song instead. But maybe I'm stupid.
But
I don't know.
If he's countering like a Karn or Meltdown, like the only things that matter, and then killing them on the following turn, or like just having it up, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you also can hit like, especially like the big hate that people would bring in, like let's say Collector Oof, or I mean Nyrod isn't really a thing. Maybe it's gonna become a thing again. Yeah, I would think if the deck is this fast.
I played against Martin Medbidden on Magic Online a few days ago, and he's just like a combo brewer through and through, and I was playing Painter, and I had like a turn 1 Karn, and I was like, okay, this is going to be great against him, because he always plays like Mox Opals and stuff, and then he goes turn 1, Chrome Mox, what's the 4 mana enchantment that whenever you cast a spell, you draw 2 cards? Song of Creation. So he puts,
Of course, it's song creation.
so he just puts Song of Creation under it and then
Legacy
passes the
staple.
turn. And I'm like, okay, well, this is GG. I'm just gonna play Tier1Con. And then he does that card, the Enough You Can't Refuse. And I'm like, holy shit, he got me. And he just destroyed me. Next turn he won. And then he was using that to cast like he would play a Veil of Summer, and then he would cast his own Lion's Eye Diamond or Lotus Petal, and then counter it, so making 2 treasures. It was pretty sick.
Oh wow!
And then he had loads of wheels, so like Echovions and Gamble for Echovions and LEDs.
Oh man,
and stuff.
like the moment when you counter your Lotus Petal to get 2 Lotus Petals, no?
exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Cool. So
man.
so
Dude,
yeah.
I miss Paper Magic so much. I want to play more of it.
So he wants to swap the Swim Songs to them, so I'm going to do that for my tournament on Saturday. And the last 5 Cyber slots is 4 Lane of the Void, so nice, just fast card to get rid of graveyards, and then 1 Helm of Obedience. So I love that you can like side in the ley lines, and when you do, you bring in the Helm, and then you can like, you know, engineer for it, and then weld it in, or Emery cast it from the graveyard and stuff.
That's smart.
Yeah, really cool.
It's not even like one of those random transformational sideboards where I feel like, oh, I'm gonna have this different combo kill now because they attack my actual one. But this is just, you know, I want these ley lines because I need some kind of graveyard hate, especially against like I guess Emrakul as well. But then I have this one-off that allows me to now kill out of nowhere in a different way as well, right? So I'm gonna have even more like turns where I just randomly kill them on maybe even the second turn.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. The one thing, this deck is weak to like Eldrazi decks, so they're not played tons, so it's okay. Like your Show and Tell, your Cloud Post decks. I play a Soul Guide Lantern in the main deck, so I can exile the graveyard with the shuffles, triggers, and the stack and stuff. But he's kind of.
I mean, he has a Nihil Spell Bomb though.
Oh, of course he does. Yeah, sorry, missed that. Yep, he's thought of everything. It's all good. Deck is perfect. I love it.
Swiss Army knife of a deck.
Yeah, the deck's busted.
It is. Oh my god,
I just love Glimmer Void so much. I remember when I first saw the card like many years ago, it literally reads add 1 mana of any color, and I thought like, oh my god, that's the most powerful thing ever. And I mean, yeah, you have to sacrifice it at the beginning of your end step, yeah, if you control no artifacts. So I guess technically you could even just like play it without artifacts and then tap it. It's just like crazy. It's crazy. It's City of Brass without the downside, it feels like.
I do slightly question playing full Glimmer Void and just 2 Spire of Innicy, because I think Spire is often better, but not always. So
I mean, there's an argument, sorry to interrupt you, there's an argument to be made because of like Bolas Citadel. Like you want to conserve your life total a little bit at least.
So he has 2 City of Brass and 4 Ancient Tomb. Like the life could go down fast. It is kind of irrelevant with that, but if you're fighting hate in sideboard games, like I've played Glimmer Void in Lantern decks a fair bit, and like if they just melt down or Hercules recall you, then you lose your lands as well as all your stuff. It's hard to.
But you kind of lose the game anyhow, right?
Kind of. I guess I'm used to playing the slower versions that can fight through these things, where he's just like, I'm going to kill you before you can cast it. I guess that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. Well done, Daniel. I don't know if it was apparent in my voice there how much I liked it.
The admiration.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing your report about the
cool.
London Legacy Monthly.
And if you don't hear about it, it's because I suck and did it badly.
Oh, then you will certainly hear it from me. I'm in your South England Legacy group or something.
Oh shit, yeah. So
I know everything about your life. And then rounding it out in 8th place, we have Karimati Mekele. Did I pronounce that correctly? Karimati
Mekele. It's like a umlaut over the A's. It's Finnish, I think.
Yeah, it looks very Finnish.
I think he's from Denmark, I think.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Cool. And that's another blue-red Delver deck list. Oh, only 1 Pyroblast.
I like the first thing we always point out is like how many Pyroblasts are in the main deck. This is literally different. Like we don't even talk about the creatures or any other spells. Literally, how many Pyroblasts does it have? You know, just like that's all that matters.
Honestly, if you had told me to write down the deck list without ever having seen it, and you tell me this is as basic as it gets, I would have come very close. I would have 1 fewer Brazen Borrower and 1 more Pyroblast. And I think otherwise I would have nailed the main deck.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Would you have got the fetch land split right? Yeah, he's got the right fetch land split. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to get the fetch land split wrong. You know what I'm noticing though? A card we have talked about a lot, and that might be the biggest omission from Magic Online right now, and that's what's it called? Maddening Hex, right?
Maddening Hex, yes.
You crazily read my mind. It was literally the next thing I was about to say was like, by the way, we don't see any in either of these lists. You're crazy, Reddit.
I don't know whether they haven't I mean, in the end, it's only 2 Delver decks that we see here. Maybe a lot of people have played them and they just didn't happen to make top 8. But from everything I have heard of people who have played with the card and paper, and it feels like a little bit old school. Like all of a sudden, like we can't test this online. We need people on the ground to actually try out the card. Like the last time I heard about that was when Carsten Cotter was like trying out the Delve spells in 2015 and playing them out on paper because they weren't on Magic Online, or like their set hadn't been released yet. And then the results came back and he said, "Oh my god, these are the most broken cards ever." And people were like, "Oh my god." And yeah, Maddening Hex not on Magic Online right now. It's a curse, 1 colorless and 2 red. And guys, help me out. I think whenever a player, is it a player or an opponent?
Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, you roll a d6 and they take that much damage.
And then you reattach it to another opponent. And of course, since it's a single-player game, like a 2-player game, it always stays on them, right?
Yeah.
So on average, they take like 3.5 damage or something.
Yeah.
For every spell they play.
Adds up pretty fast, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah. I just saw Martin Nielsen on Doomsday play against a Delver opponent who had Maddening Hex on the field, and Martin goes like Dark Ritual, rolls a 6, casts Doomsday, rolls another 6, and then he had to figure out a completely different pile because he was not allowed to. He went down to 2 life. He couldn't cast any non-creature spell after Doomsday anymore. It was crazy. It was absolute like demoralizing, I think.
So you could like use a fetch land to get one thing deeper into the pile or something, and then you need to use your Devotion to Blue to somehow. It's crazy.
It's absolute, dude. It's wild. I mean, this card is a little quote unquote inconsistent, right? Because like it is after all like rolling a d6, and you might just end up rolling a lot of 1s, for example, in a game, or like a lot of 6s in the other game. But this card is absolutely busted. It is also the reason why people play more Hydroblast effects in paper than in online. Because a lot of control decks board out Force Wills against Delver. That's just like what they do. And then Maddening Hex always resolves against control, and then, they just simply lose the game, right? And maybe that's why the lands list above had like so many Hydroblasts, maybe. Because I don't know how... Yeah, I don't know about lands specifically, but, if deck is literally only non-creature spells and lands, then this might be a problem.
Yeah. I could see it like... Max Gilmore said he's played it in paper where he was playing like I think a mid-rangey deck and kind of play Protect the Queen with it, because a lot of decks in the end will just have to cast on creature spells. Like maybe not against D&T or something as an example, but a lot of them will, and then you can just play your game and they have to play into it eventually.
Yeah, Protect the Queen is a really good way to put it, right? People used to do that with Court of Cunning, but of course Court of Cunning can be pyroblasted. Whereas Maddening Hex, that card's gonna hurt a lot of times. Looking it up on paper right now, it's like
ending, but like still they take some damage, and then you can fight about that.
Yeah, they take some damage, and they also they don't trade up or down. It's a 3-mana exchange.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Looking at the prices right now, so it's about €4 in paper. I wouldn't mind picking up some of those if I was playing that deck.
Yeah, I could really see it. Like I don't know if I think in paper you can play like 1 or 2 in the sideboard of Delver, and it's just very good. And then I don't know where you would go with like a mid-range deck of just protecting. Probably just is Delver. Maybe you play 2 in the main deck, and you just make control players cry horrifically.
I mean, I already like even back in Japan like 2 months ago, I already saw Japanese control players picking up this card to fight the control mirror. So just control decks picking up this card.
I remember you saying that actually. I completely forgot. Yeah.
So this card is something like I think I saw it like in a 4-color Uro deck before, like in a Jeskai deck.
Yeah, might try and get some people playing it at our monthly as well. Say, come on, try it out.
Yeah, that kind of I wonder, they're probably gonna put it into treasure chests if they ever program it. I mean, it's a curse, so it's Wizards has had some trouble properly programming curses on Magic Online. Rapper Cheap can probably tell you about that.
yeah, true.
So yeah, we will see. You guys think this is gonna be on Magic Online in half a year's time?
It could be. I think
it could be.
They've changed Minsk and Boo. I don't know when it's coming, but the red border on Magic Online that says a card isn't playable has been changed, so it means it's coming at some point. So they could.
Yeah, they probably should. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I just love stuff that punishes like.
I'm kind of not looking forward to it because the card is mean, but yeah, it'll be good to have everything there.
Cool. Before we move on, I have two quick questions for you guys, because I've seen those two cards talked about quite a lot and how hard they are to find on Magic Online, and that's Displacer Kitten and Currency Converter. Displacer Kitten we already highlighted last week, basically like a new combo enabler for, well, Teferi decks, I guess that's the most common way to do it. And Currency Converter I've actually seen in Loam decks quite a lot, and for those who don't know what it does, it's an artifact, 1 colorless. Whenever you discard a card, you may exile that card from your graveyard. 2 colorless and tap, draw a card, then discard a card so you can loot. And then if you tap it and... Oh god, I'm so bad at explaining these cards. and then you can also tap it to put a card exiled with Currency Converter into your graveyard. If it's a land card, create a treasure token. If it's a non-land card, create a 2/2 black rogue creature token. These Wizards should really be thinking about podcasts, because explaining these cards, especially by me, is just like the worst thing ever. you know, we should play what's it called, a game of telephone, where I explain the card, and then the listeners in the Discord they type out what they think the card does, and then we feed it back into the podcast, like, you know, hashtag Google Translate MTG in the end.
It's
it's like a creature, it's 4/4 vigilance. It's like, oh yeah, sure, that's what Julian said. But yeah.
Yeah, this card is incredibly hard to find. Like as I mentioned earlier, I was streaming Lone Pox earlier today, and I could only get my hands on 1 single currency converter, and the Lone Pox list played 3 copies, and it is very much the engine of the deck entirely, because you know, you discard so many cards you want to, like, you know, like recur later. Also like a couple of blanks. One of my Discord friends, you know, happened to have 2 copies, so I was able to run it. But I think it's based on a commander product, I think, and it's like supply is super low, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's again this not in a real set on Magic Online, non-draftable, so it's like Kappa Cannoneer and Displacer Kitten's currently like 80 tickets or something ridiculous. So yeah, but regarding the cards, I have some thoughts. Yeah, I think Currency Converter is really good. I don't know if it slots into decks that are actually that incredible, but what it does in those decks is very strong. It's easy to undervalue. Like, you know, you just got a card, then you put it back in. It's just like once per turn, kind of cycle around, and you can get a treasure or a 2/2 creature token. But like, you play it in grindy decks and stuff. So people have played it in lands and stuff. Some of his synergy when you discard a card to Mox Diamond, or you like cycle the Tranquil Thicket and stuff. And then in Pox and stuff, if you're both discarding a card for all your poxy reasons, then you do just find that you don't need to do the draw a card, discard a card. And then if you get into the late game after doing all the grinding, you do just have this activation as well to loot. And then, yeah, you just kind of pull ahead, make some treasure tokens, make some 2/2s, and it just like sits there grinding, making some value for this 1 mana artifact is pretty powerful actually. So yeah, I think it's a good card.
You can also get it like off Saga.
Yeah.
And also like this, I've seen a Japanese list with a currency converter and standstill, for example, which I think is super powerful, right?
You can even like go 8 card discard. Oh, I guess you can also just like activate the 2 mana ability. Yeah, that's probably better.
Oh, now I want to play standstill on this. Oh, so many decks to play.
Don't.
That's
place for
a
standstill.
Brilliant idea. I love it.
No, dude, you're already locked in. You're locked into Daniel's 4-color painter.
Yeah, it's true. I have painters. I'm looking at them on my desk at the moment. Yeah, cool. I think we'll see it as like a kind of role player, slight build around in some decks and stuff. It's a cool one. Hopefully, it becomes more available. I think it'll go down to Magic Online, and people will carry on opening it, and then it'll be.
It's kind of a similar role to like Retrofitter Foundry, right? As your one-off for value in the Saga decks. It depends on like what your deck is geared towards, whether you want to like go a little bit more aggressive or more, well, in the way of Currency Converter, whatever that's actually doing. But you guys saying this card is here to stay, because right now I think it's 22 tickets, and Displacer Kitten is insane. It's 72 tickets.
Yeah.
And we talked about Displacer Kitten, right? That card is a real legacy card now.
Yeah. So thoughts on this is it's very good, and it'll be played, and there'll be kitten decks. But I think it's not quite as good as I originally thought. For some reasons, the main one was, my reaction was like, okay, you just play it in like a. Okay, you have to pay 4 Teferi, then you have to pay some 0 mana artifacts, and that cost is very, very low. And my reaction was like, God, if Teferi is just the combo card as well, this is insane, because it's like the perfect combo card. But what it does is, when I tried it, it forces you into play patterns you don't actually want to do in your kind of blue mid-range good stuff deck. So Mishra's Bauble, you're encouraged to crack it early. or like Lotus Pedal, you're encouraged to try and pull ahead on mana because you've drawn it in your hand and you want to use it. You don't want to be holding on to these cards, like, you know, not cracking and Mishra's Bauble is putting you down a card. You're essentially mulliganing. And so with the combo, you're trying to -3 to Teferi to bounce the artifacts, like cast it again. But you're only getting this in play like turn 4 kind of earliest, unless you've got some Lotus Pedals, in which case you need to play 4 in your deck because you have to have 2 non-cracked when you start comboing. So what I found was like you're then playing Teferi, you're trying to like bounce something to get some tempo, but very often they have like a creature that can attack it down, so then you play it into 2 creatures and plus it, hoping it lives. It just basically made you play Teferi and the 0 mana artifacts in ways that you don't usually want to play. And so I found the deck kind of, even though when it goes off, even before comboing, with Displacer Kitten, you know, you cast a Ponder, you blink the Teferi, you draw a card off the Teferi, like you draw tons of cards and it looks really fancy and explosive. Actually comboing felt almost like a little bit win more, and it felt like you're trying to assemble like a Splinter Twin, like a 3 mana thing and then a 4 mana thing that is harder to disrupt because Teferi is part of the equation, but getting them both together on the board without losing too much tempo and being, you know, having them Pyroblast and dazed out and stuff was harder than I expected. So my reaction at the end of all that is I think if Cat is good, I think there's going to be like a pretty good, maybe Chalice, Ancient Tomb deck around them with probably like the blue-white Signet to play Teferi better off Soul Lands and stuff. And with that, then you can like, because Displacer Kitten does combo with Khan, the Great Creator as well. I want to go down that approach more next, but they're just hard to find, so I haven't got around to playing it. But
I'm just so happy we have you on the podcast because that's kind of insight I wouldn't have been able to provide.
Well, yeah, so Max Distortion lent me them for a bit, so I got to play a little bit, and he was then trying a bunch of different versions. He played it in like Esper, and then Yori and Esper, and then Jeskai stuff. Like Anurag's been playing that a lot, and then he tried like Check Pile with it as well. And we came to that conclusion about like weird play patterns that just aren't intuitive until you start playing it, and then you realize like it makes you like not play Teferi on turn 3 and not crack your baubles, and then you kind of lose for not doing that.
That's really weird then.
Yeah, it could be that our sample size was small, but that's where we got to. And I think a list with Vile and Recruiter of the Guard could be better.
Ooh, now we're getting spicy.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I think you need ways to generate tempo and play a mid-range game in a slightly different way than just playing good stuff cards. Because if you're playing towards this combo endgames, you're like, okay, if I'm having a combo endgame, I don't need as much card advantage. Or if you're playing these good stuff cards with Swords and Ponder and Brainstorm and Force and Prismatic Ending and all this stuff, you do, like, none of them are generating card advantage. So you go from no card advantage in the early and mid game into my card advantage is also my combo, so the Kitten and the Teferi. So people are often fighting over your card advantage. So once they stop one of them, you're like, crap, I'm kind of just like playing these cantrips for more cantrips and removal and hoping that your payoffs and your combo cards are resolving, and you're fighting around that, and it's the same card but 2 different angles. Then if you get cut off that, you're kind of swimming in no card advantage or endgame water. So we'll see.
That was deep.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, you explained very well.
That was my experience of one league with Kitten.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Also that's what I usually call, what I like to call when I talk about specific matchups, the dynamics of the matchups, right? Where you actually play it out and you come to the conclusions, right? Like you mentioned, a lot of these cards, they technically work together, but the baubles and stuff I want to use early on, then I don't have them available for the combo, and maybe I don't want to play Teferi there, yada yada yada. And that's when it comes to like semantics, that's what I call the dynamics like of a deck or of a matchup, and I think that's one of those things that are really like not impossible but really hard to just theorize about.
Yeah,
and that's why it's important to people actually figuring this out.
Playing games is just so important; it just cannot be stressed enough.
There's no way around it.
Yeah, when I saw like some of the lists people were playing, and Francis was played like a 60 card just Esper good stuff list. He just kind of put together with some cats and then 4 Teferis and stuff. I looked through it and I thought this was insanely strong, like bordering on broken. I was like, this just looks amazing because your combo is so compact. You just play 1 Mox Amber, then you have the 3 Kittens, which are good on their own because you can blink Teferi. And then he came to the same conclusion as well. He realized the weird thing. So on Tuesday he'd gone to a Yorian version with recruiters as well, trying that out and stuff. And I think came to the same idea of like, it just doesn't quite play out. But we both looked at the list, we're like, wow, this is insane, until playing it. So Yeah.
That's great. That's just amazing to me. That's what testing is for. Seriously, that's what you need to learn. Cool. So before we close it out with a bunch of listener questions, I still want to give shoutouts to Fuss65 because Fuss65 on the weekend won the Legacy Challenge with Doomsday without dropping a single match. And
Hell yeah.
I mean, it happens every once in a while, but it's not that common, right? So all the more glory to Fuss65. By the way, with Tombstalker on the sideboard.
Man,
Guys,
that's wild.
is that something you want to do?
That's wild. We had this discussion a couple of months ago, I think, where people argued like, hey, Tombstalker can't be pyroblasted, but it's like it's inferior to Murktide because it's quote unquote only a 5/5 and not an 8/8. Well, but I guess if you just keep plowing all their Murktides, then Tombstalker is technically the best threat on the field.
I guess
right?
you also go wide because there's also Mentor on the sideboard, so I guess there's another approach.
I don't dislike it, but it like for the Tombstalkers to be good, it's required that you have to plow all Murktides basically. So if there are no Murktides on the field, then Tombstalker's good. If there are Murktides on the field, then Murktide's bad. Then Tombstalker's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
but you plow one of their big Murktides, and then you attack with Tombstalker 4 times, then you're even with the damage. They're so big.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We go from the deepest of analysis that Callum ever
Right,
provided
like
to
literally
this.
like the most, dude.
Just never play a creature, blank the removal. Oh, card advantage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna close it out. We received 4 listener questions on the Everyday Eternal Discord. We got The Aggressive B quoting, I know it's always an animated discussion when the subject of should Delver side out bolts against Doomsday is brought up. It's related to the utility of surgical extraction versus Doomsday. Guys, why did we put that in there? That's not even a question.
Right. Well, I'm just gonna answer this real quick. Because I get this question a lot. People always ask me, hey, I'm like, how is surgical extraction and lightning bolt against Doomsday? My short answer, it is better than the average card, but not very good. That's basically my final answer. Like there are games where you just buy a turn because you shuffled your opponent's 5-card pile, and there are games where you just bolt them for lethal post Doomsday. But I would only leave them in the deck if there's literally nothing else.
I would try and never have them in. As Painter, I side out bolts and don't bring in surgicals for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, in the end, it's opportunity cost, right? If the card you keep in over those cards is better, then you do it, and otherwise you don't. That's also by these questions, not directly from the Aggressive B, but in general, right? That's one thing people often like to ask when they're learning a deck or even a format. Should I bring in this against that deck? And it depends. That's just like that's the lawyer answer. That when I was like learning law and stuff, like the correct answer to almost any question my professor would ask was, it depends. And they would be like, oh yes, he said it depends. Perfect.
Although I will say on this, like just this idea in general of like, you should board this in or you shouldn't board this in. As someone it's like, say I was playing Doomsday and I'm thinking, okay, Bolt and Surgical aren't good against me. As exactly you said, the opportunity cost and like it's better than the average card. If you're playing against something and you think, you know what? They might just have nothing better than bolts or surgicals. They might have a sideboard that's geared to fair matchups completely, and they just think, like if I leave in 4 bolts, maybe I can get them because I'm not going to board in these other cards that just don't do anything. Maybe there's more removal and stuff in the sideboard. So when you're playing against this thing, and even if you think it shouldn't be boarded in against me, you should always be kind of wary of something that's in the middle or asked about a lot, because until someone asks that question as well, they don't know, so they could have it. And so
pretty much,
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Next question coming to us from Kinda. I saw some rumblings on Twitter that Every Flamer is the best creature in Legacy. Do you agree or think something else? Guys, what do you think? What is the best creature in Legacy right now? I guess for the context of this, we're gonna exclude Chaos Harlequin because we're not gonna play that diabolic game.
I replied with Stormcrow.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. You know what? Actually, Stormcrow, I asked this question on Twitter and it received the most upvotes by far.
See? There you go. There you go.
Upvotes because it's wrong, I guess. For me, it's Big Dragon. Like, just pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, for me, it's basically 2 cards that really stand out, and then we have a bunch of cards who compete for third, and for me, it's just Murktide and Endurance.
Yeah,
like
I think Endurance is the
best. 2. Yeah, Endurance is basically the best sideboard card. Or maybe not the best sideboard card, but the best sideboard creature by far.
I have DRC at number 3.
Okay. Yeah. I got Murktide at number 1 and Thasrokel number 2, and then there's literally nothing else beyond that.
Yeah.
There's nothing happens after Thassa's
Oh yeah,
Oracle.
and then probably like even Mind Sensor on like a 500 place or something. Yeah.
Opposition Asian.
If this was like a PlayStation 1 game, you just got like the amazing sound. You found the secret challenger. We just unlocked the secret level. Now, after M. Bison, you play against Avon Mind Sensor.
Oh my goodness. Just give me a bucket. I want to throw up.
But yeah, I think afterwards there's like a big pool and I don't know how to rate them. There's Dragonrage Shandalar, there's like probably Uro, there's Elfish Reclaimer, there's definitely Thassa's Oracle.
Grizzlebrand's okay.
Which one?
Grizzlebrand is okay.
Oh yeah, Grizzlebrand.
Grizzlebrand is super.
I mean,
super cool.
it took something. Like to me, Grizzlebrand has been the best creature in Legacy for a while, but Murktide and Endurance, they take the cake.
Grizzlebrand decks are just not. I mean, I say this as 3 Reanimators top 8'd on Sunday, the Legacy Challenge, but Reanimators I haven't seen it as much for a while.
Poor Tarmogoyf. Like I can literally see Tarmogoyf sitting somewhere in the corner, like looking at previous GP top 8s and everything, and like crying.
Yeah.
I love how. Oh, I mean, I love. It's interesting, actually, more like how Delver's just not in the discussion at all.
I mean, Delver sometimes gets cut from Delver.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty much agreed upon that DRC is just the better creature, both in like dedicated Delver decks and in like these slightly more mid-rangey Delver decks.
By so much.
Yeah, such a good card. Cool. And speaking of Yoel Granahead again, coming back to one of your opponents. Yoel, how's it going? He's asking, as a Savannah supporter, my one question at the moment is, when do we get the Safari Patreon tier? Guys,
Kai,
what would
do you want to answer this?
As resident Safari expert?
Exactly.
Well, wait, what? I should answer this? I thought this was like directly to Julian.
No. It's
you
it's
think?
for me
That's
and
crazy.
Yeah.
But what would be a Safari Patreon tier? I'm trying to think. A
Well, you
Discord,
get to
hit
go on
me
the
up, let me know.
Safari, obviously.
You know, I've actually talked about maybe having a Safari. Like, I think we talked to Anders, right? When Anders asked us about feedback to Tier1Con and everything. From my perspective, I could see us providing something like a... Well, it's not a cash prize. What would it be? Like a experience prize or whatever? Like a non-cash or card prize that you win a Safari in Kenya and you stay at the hotel. You still get, I mean, it's not ideal because you still have to buy like something like a 500 to 1,000 euro flight. So a lot of people might just be locked out of it despite winning it. But it would be so cool to have an event and the winner wins a Safari, because Safaris can be like quite expensive. They can also be rather cheap, but
that would be
that's-
sick.
Yeah.
I'd play that event.
You would, right?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, there were events in Italy where you would win like a Rolex or a Mont Blanc pen, and then there would just like somebody happen to be there to buy them up right after the event, which kind of feels like Kai. Do you know like pachinko?
I do. I've played pachinko myself. Yeah, a bit.
Yeah, I've heard the way it works is like you win these balls and they are not inherently worth anything, but then just like around the corner there just happens to be a shop who will buy them for cash from you.
Exactly.
That's how you get around like gambling laws in Japan.
Yeah, it's like a long story, but basically you there are ways how you can like, you know, just get away with things. But yeah, gambling is not allowed in Japan, and I think at the pachinko like places you can exchange those like little marbles and, you know, just little balls for like actual like goods, right? Like I don't know, like toys or consoles, Nintendo Switch, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so some real stuff, because like in my head there, I imagine like maybe a kid playing at the pachinko places all their life, and they get like all these like random bad prices, and then like 10 years later they learn they could have actually exchanged them for like proper money, and that's how it's supposed to work, and they just like didn't know. So yeah, Safari Patreon here.
But that's so cool, because like, you know, that's something you're gonna remember for the rest of your life, right? Like a cash prize you would probably just forget in like a year or two.
You just burn through it, right, with your pachinko addiction.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, that would be amazing. It's I guess, you know, if the let's say okay, it's kind of complicated. I was going to say if the organizer of the event was to also provide the flight, or rather let's say a voucher or something. Hey, we give you like 700 euros towards your flight to Kenya, and then your safari and your hotel stays for free. Maybe. But we completely drifted apart from the Safari Patreon tier topic. Maybe we're gonna have it someday. I'll have to work it out. And then the last question coming to us, Stencil. How is European Legacy different from Japanese Legacy? Callum, tell us.
Yeah, Callum, tell us.
I know all about this.
Dude, like this is like a question. Thank you, Stencil. For this can fill up an entire episode. And we might have talked about it a bit in like one of the earlier podcasts where I was still a guest, right?
An intern.
I was an intern, like a non-paid intern. The short answer is there is just infinite legacy going on in Japan, like way more than Europe combined almost. And you can play a bunch. You can also test a lot of things, and after a week, you might just know the like a new deck like inside out.
Is it like a real life Magic Online? Because you can also get a lot of games in Magic Online.
Yeah, pretty much so.
Why did you ever move away from that? I know, but yeah.
Right, like but it also makes you like want to buy more cards, obviously, because like you are trying out so like I think like when I lived in Japan, I had so many like maybe in the sideboard type of cards, you know, like cards you really don't need as necessarily as other cards, but since there are so many tournaments, you might as well just get them and, you know, just give them a spin, something like that, and your collection gets just absolutely huge over time. I think that's what happens if you play a lot of like Legacy or Modern.
And people buy from the local shops, right?
They do, always do. Never buy online. And that is, dude, I don't know. I mean, like, if there's like one thing I wanna call out there is like, just dude, if the prices are not ridiculous in your local game store, just go there. Just, you know, like people will remember, and it's good for everyone. And after all, we want to play events, right? So
awesome. Guy, so before we close it out, you want to shout out one of the events that you organized that are coming up in Berlin?
Next Saturday, there is the High Five Legacy in Berlin. It is a proxy tournament. You can play a few proxies if you want, but for the first time, we decided to do like unlimited amount of proxies. So even like modern players can pick up a Legacy deck and try it out. I think that's our main goal. Also, like to just recruit new people for the awesome format. And that's pretty much it. Just if there are no stores that push your format, then just gotta do it yourself.
Cool.
What is your format? Is it like part modern, part legacy, or?
It's just legacy.
Okay.
Okay, cool. But I was thinking, if people are like, do people generally like side events too? Because like some people drop after like 2 or 3 rounds, right? And I thought if there's like something else, maybe like a side event.
Do people really drop from these events? Like, I only have like a Cetera Magic to go on from, and people will play the entire event even if they're like 0-4.
My experience doing the monthly legacies with like 40 to 50 players is I bring along a Andrea Mengucci's vintage cube, like proxied out and stuff, and I say anyone that wants a cube, they can, and we fired it like once. Everyone likes to kind of carry on playing and then also just like chill and watch their friends and chat and stuff. So
yeah, that's cool.
My experience is at the smaller events, like under 50 people, they don't really go for side events.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe maybe you have to note that, for example, Freising, like despite this big giant legacy tournament, there's literally nothing else going on in Freising in that day. So you really don't have much of a choice, right? Like you can't, like if you drop them, there's literally nothing you can do in the area. But Berlin is still like,
slightly bigger.
It's slightly bigger, it's like it's a trashy capital. So there are like, if you drop, you can still do stuff, maybe to keep the people around. Maybe I thought maybe you want to like just have some sort of like a small side event in any form.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically competing with the people who are putting on like a anti-capitalist protest in Friedrichshain, and you're like, you know what? I wanna have something. I want these people to stay at my event and
exactly.
Not attend. That's how it works in Berlin. With a couple $1,000 cards. Cool. So where exactly in Berlin is that happening, and where can people find more information about that?
So I posted it in the Facebook. There's a Facebook group called I think Tournaments in Berlin or something like that. I posted it there, and there's also Germany is a little like old-fashioned. There is a WhatsApp group with like all the legacy players in it. I'm the admin.
There is.
Yeah, I recently became the admin of the group, and basically that's where I post things, and because at the beginning, I kind of want to make it almost like a Berlin-only thing, and just like start to cultivate the Berlin community. And then once it's big enough, then other people can also come from other cities. But I kind of want the Berlin to kind of like build its own base first, you know.
It almost sounds like you're building some kind of cult, like I don't know, some
almost
kind
right,
of like
yeah,
fight club.
Dude.
I recently became the admin, and now I want to cultivate my local Berlin followers. And once we've grown big enough, we will go out and we'll, I don't know, attack Hanover Legacy.
Dude, yeah. No, in a few months, it might go crazy.
Evil Kai, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that.
Yep.
If you want to support Everyday Eternal instead of Kai's aspirations to becoming a world leader or something, you can leave a review on Apple Podcast. Helps us out big time. Helps other people out even more finding the podcast whenever they try to find news about Legacy. Or you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/everydayeternal, and become part of our Discord crew. Thank you so much for your support, especially for our Eternal Witness tier supporters, Tommy Hinks, Testacular, Sebastian Hollager, Guillem, Hannawolf, Sean Dewey, and Severin Schwarzhuber, and our Grizzlebrand tier supporters, Victor Bernatz, Bachi Butt, Scott Monroe, Jeremy Gates, Henrik Korkutz, Tom Happ, and Paragon Games in St. Louis. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at EternalMTG. You can find me at It'sJulian23 on Twitter. I stream every once in a while as It's Julian on Twitch. And guys, where can people find you, Callum?
At Callum Smith MTG on Twitter is the best place for me.
Right.
And
I'm Sawatarix on all social media platforms. And also my homepage, sawatarix.com.
Oh, perfect.
Julian will never not be jealous of like having it all together.
Maybe I should actually go back and finally pick like a proper nickname again, because It's Julian I thought it was kind of cool, but it's somewhat lame. On the other hand, like if you've been known as Julian for a while and then you pick a nickname, nobody's gonna use it, right? If I call myself Magma Lord 2000.
I mean, like you kind of have to do like a whole rebranding of yourself, and I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
People are gonna, the moment you change it, but like, it's not Julian 23, they're gonna call you that.
Yeah,
100%.
What about Magma Lord 2000? I just like thought about that.
Magma Lord. I don't know. Just do something stupid. Yes. Like on Magic Online, I have Clout Goat Ranger. So.
Oh, that's amazing, dude. I think you also picked one of the best pictures. You know, the eyeball.
The eye.
Yeah. You also got a 5-0 with Painter, right? Actually, we should the Twitch. Are you saving the Twitch release? Otherwise, we are going to link them in the show notes, and it's going to be an incentive for people to go, because it might disappear after 2 weeks.
If anyone, there is. I'm not saving them actually. Sorry, it's going to be there for 2 weeks. But yeah, if anyone wants to watch a Painter stream, I streamed for the first time in months the other night.
And now we spoiled it. It's the 5-0.
Yeah, and it got better because we got the best quote from Matt Zole ever. It said like, "Painter is the best deck for stupid people to feel smart."
And with that, we're gonna call it a day. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us, and see you again next time. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone.